Man, card world's pretty crazy. We've had pretty apparent already. Everyone who does any kind of card talks talking about the markets had a dip or a correction. We're seeing a 20%, 25% decrease in a lot of stuff. Stuff that was selling for 100, selling for 75 to 80. But then there's always outliers too. I mean, I think you're going to see, like right now, Kobe autos are selling higher than they were with a Hall of Fame induction weekend, and then also we're starting to see a resurgence and an interest in Pujols. With him going to the Dodgers, it's a big market team. I think everyone knows who Pujols is. I mean, he's the greatest first baseman in modern day. He had a WAR that was absolutely a huge, wins above replacement. And, he's on pace to hit 700 home runs. But in the same breath, him being in Dodgers blue only probably benefits his cards right now versus playing for a stagnant Angels team.
Yeah, exactly. And mentioning the Kobe cards, that's a big thing because his other stuff really hasn't jumped besides his signature stuff, which makes a lot of sense because there's not a whole bunch of it going out anymore.
Well,
And
and you got to think too, like a PSA 9 Kobe that you just looked up a minute ago. What was the price on that
they
for a
really
tops?
they really haven't moved. His 96 tops is selling for like around still the 835, 800, $900 range.
See, what's interesting is, I mean, obviously it was tragic that he died so young, and before that, though, those were 200 or less.
Right.
So I mean, he's still having a 400% gain since that incident. Um, so it's like it's hard for those to go up much more. They're already as expensive as they've ever been.
Right.
But like
Yeah.
the autograph stuff's gone nuts, man. And then his numbered inserts, like there's a very, very large section of the hobby that collects Kobe and specifically rare Kobe's. And man, like we do breaks this past week that had, or we did breaks this past week that had 1718 optic in it. If you hit a Kobe gold numbered out of 10, it's like 5 grand. Like they're
Jeez.
massive because there's more than 10 guys that want that card because there's some really, really rich Kobe collectors that collect everything.
That's
They
true.
want one of all of it. You know, he's huge overseas. He's huge in domestic. Like it's unreal. Like he transcends.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think we saw a bigger pop back in what was it, February with all the stuff,
Hmm.
all the big names. They were much higher than they are now. But
Yeah.
they're still holding up pretty high though. Like, basketball entered the little dip at the end of the season, which people don't really have that much interest. Like when it comes to like that final like 75 to 90% of the season. I mean, it's still entertaining, but everyone's just anticipating the playoffs. And I think
Oh yeah.
that's where we're going to see these, resurgence in basketball sort of bounce back. I
I am
mean,
going to be curious because people keep. I mean, I watch a lot of card podcasts, and people will say, like the Kobe documentary is coming, so his stuff's going to have this really big bounce. I don't really think that's true.
yeah,
Um, it's already expensive, and he's been so topical for the last basic year. Like, I mean, you see stuff about Kobe all the time. I think what the big resurgence and big pop with the Jordan documentary is he had kind of been out of the limelight for a while.
right.
You didn't really hear about him, you didn't really see him, and then all of a sudden there's this like multi-series that was reasonably well done of Jordan. It really spurred like, oh man, I want to collect some Jordan stuff. I just don't think there's anyone that wants to own Kobe stuff that's suddenly going to watch an ESPN documentary and all of a sudden go out and buy up his PSA nines at 1,000 instead of 835.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there might be a little bit more of a pop. Like, because remember back in February, I think these same cards were going for, I think about 14, 15, like when everything
Yeah.
was just at its high. And I think with the Laker documentary, that because they're talking about like a 9 episode documentary, I think the Shaq stuff's going to drop.
Oh, for sure. I think that absolutely could. There's going to be some guys that jump that are not named Kobe.
Yeah.
It's really, I think we went through somewhat of a market correction in
Yeah.
that, and I'll use the Jordan rookie PSA 8 as an example because that's an attainable card for most people. Um, Before the documentary, I had sold some of those in the 6,000 range. And post documentary, those got as high as about 15, 16,000. I luckily sold some of those in that range too, but now those are trailing down to around 10,000. I do not believe they will see the 6K price again. I think we've surpassed that. There's enough buying power at over six.
Yeah.
But I honestly think we will see PSA Jordan rookies in the 8,500 range this calendar year.
And yeah, I believe it. For people buying to flip those cards, if the sellers are just disinterested because maybe the basketball season's over with, could be that. But
the population report on a PSA 8 Jordan rookie is also massive, man. Like, and again, I don't like to hate on the Jordan rookie because it is top of the food chain in the hobby. I mean, everybody wants one if you collect. But reality is, it was the first year of Fleer. There's tons of those on the market. Like, the pop report for gems is over 300. This is not a rare card. Go to any major card show, you could literally probably buy 1,000 of them. Like, no exaggeration. Go to a major card show, they're available. I personally think that they're overpriced, but demand's high because it is what it is.
Right. And that's why you lean towards more rarer cards, like you're talking about for the Kobe, looking for his auto cards.
Yeah, or go buy a Jambalaya from EX 2001 that's like one to a case insert that's awesome. You don't see those. Like, I've seen like 3 of those in my entire life.
Yeah, I recently bought a LeBron James, Kobe, Garnett patch. It's like a 2007. I bought that for like $250. It's a raw card, but it's a Kobe, LeBron, and KG. Like, that thing is it's a sick card, and that itself I think is much. I would rather own that than one of his rookie cards. Because I think even from a collector's standpoint, displaying that's going to be cooler than just a slab Kobe rookie. Yeah, exactly. Because it's a little bit more rare. You don't see them all too often.
Yeah.
Plus, it has 2 of the greatest players in history, and KG as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely has a certain thrill about it. It's just their jersey cards. Which I know jersey cards don't sell all too hot, but when it comes to those guys, like, it's just a different. In my opinion,
it's getting really weird because I've been watching this over the last month. Flawless Football came out, and the actual game-worn patch stuff, not player-worn, not they put it on at a photo shoot, but the game-worn stuff is starting to sell really, really big. And Panini has started putting new stamps on the back of their Flawless cards where almost everything was player worn in this product, but the game worn stuff, man, is selling massive. And I think we're going to see all these older, like that patch card you got, if it says game worn on the back of it, there's a good chance that that's going to end up being a really, really nice item in the near future, even more beyond what you paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it is, but it would be interesting to see. I guess I haven't really evaluated it that much either.
Yeah, but yeah, if you do buy more patch stuff, I mean, definitely if it says that it's a game worn jersey, that's worth more money than if it's just something they put on at a photo shoot.
Yeah, and we'll talk. We'll get back to the pull holes thing here in a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about some basketball that's coming up. We have the play-in tournament now coming up today. Today's the East where they play. We got there are 2 games today. We have Charlotte facing the Pacers in Indiana, and then Washington playing the Celtics in Boston. That game is going to be all eyes on them because, I mean, the Celtics, they were pretty much a shell of themselves. And Celtics and the Wizards, they're in that 7th A seed where, so pretty much for people that are listening that don't know and are confused by the play-in tournament, the 7th A seed, when they play each other, the winner of that game will be the 7th seed. The loser of that will play the winner of the 9-10 game, and the loser of the 9-10 game goes home, and the winner of that will play the potential 8th seed team, and the winner of that will be in the 8th seed and then play the number 1 seed going forward. So today we have the Charlotte Hornets playing the Pacers, which, I mean, the Charlotte's kind of fallen off those last 2 months, especially, losing LaMelo, that really hurt, of course, and maybe we'll see that team do something that's gonna be a because if they could beat Indiana and then playing against they'll possibly play the Sixers if that happens because their only shot will be the eighth seed.
I will say this: LaMelo is starting to make some highlight passes that are going to be like crazy historic. Like he threw a ball the other day, and literally one of the guys on the team thought it was coming to him, and he put so much spin on it, like it almost curved around his body to go to the guy behind him. It was just unreal, man. Like the dude just has passing and like court awareness, like well beyond being a rookie.
And what's also interesting about LaMelo's play is that he's also so young, and I mean him being in the playoff spotlight, it's what the league wants to see. I mean him being there. So obviously from a hobby standpoint, everyone's hoping that Charlotte beats the Pacers because I mean outside of Sabonis. That Brogdon, that is just not a team you want to see in the playoffs. So and then you have the Wizards and Celtics. That game is going to be because obviously Boston has been they've been very disappointing this year. Everyone thought they were going to be so much better than what they were, and the Wizards have come on after that. I think they had like a 3-15 start, and they've come on strong late throughout the rest of the season and put it on. I think the Wizards are going to win this game. I think a lot of people do as well.
It's going to elevate Rui quite a bit too if he has a big performance.
Who's he? You mean Russell?
Rui Hachimura.
Oh yeah.
Rui, he's already got some hobby heat, but if he comes out and they just house the Celtics in Boston, that'll be big.
I think they have more momentum. I think a lot of teams are down in Boston, although it's like I think Boston is better coached. It hasn't looked like this season, but
I mean Tatum might also come out and put up 60 too. It's all gonna,
That's what I was gonna say. Tatum has to put up like 50 points because especially without being Jaylen Brown's out.
So obviously we're switching coasts, but I got to ask you, what is the path to victory for GSW over the Lakers in this play-in tournament game?
Yeah, and
do you see a path to victory?
Well, just to finish up on the East games, I mean, I think I think Washington will beat the Celtics, and then but the Celtics will still play Charlotte, and I think that game is kind of a toss-up, and the Celtics can still make their way into the game. Obviously, I think either we want to see Tatum explode and trying to take that leap, or maybe LaMelo takes that leap and kind of makes his little playoff run here and starting it. And as you're holding up that 17-18, there's a breakup, everybody. 17-18 right now. I see
17-18, man. It's so playoff interesting right now because it's Tatum, it's Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox is in there. Like it's a really interesting product. Yeah, that break's already full, but I just think it's interesting because that 17-18 class and then the 15-16 class have just some absolute killers, man. There's some dudes, and they're all kind of coming to maturity level, and it makes me wonder what the 19-20 class is going to look like 5 years from now. Well, is Rui a top 3? You know what I mean? Like who's going to elevate? We don't know because it seems like Jaw's going down to me.
Jaw, that injury really messed him up. But going forward, I mean, you and I both think that Jaw is going to be at the top of one of the top of the league players for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just worried where he plays that it's not going to matter. That's the only thing that scares me. I'd like to see him get out of there.
It could be, and he could be on the move, But I still think he's one of those players where, regardless if he is in Memphis, that he is a highlight player. You want to see him. It's the same thing with LaMelo. He plays in Charlotte. It's not a big. I think although LaMelo has more hobby love and all that, but I still think Ja, if he is playing lights out, that he is on that level like with Zion again.
So, from a hobby standpoint, obviously we want to see the Hornets make some kind of waves because we get to see more LaMelo. Season's over, though. As far as you're concerned, Joker MVP at this point?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that was locked in.
What about Rookie of the Year, though? Because LaMelo coming back looked kind of interesting. I mean, the thing
he
is,
he won.
Edwards put up great numbers too.
The Edwards thing is losing team didn't have as much of an impact. LaMelo was an impact, and when he played, he was the rookie of the year. I just think the writers are going to say that, and from listening to other podcasts, it just seems like LaMelo locked that in because I think he got over that threshold of games played, like where it mattered. Edwards he played on a God. The Timberwolves are what a frustrating team. I mean, they have you think of Towns as like being this big name,
Yeah.
and then D'Angelo Russell, who was 3 years ago, was playing lights out on Brooklyn Nets, and then being a sought after free agent, signing with GSW, and getting traded. It just I don't understand having those two guys and Edwards how they are so bad. Is
Yeah.
it the coaching or is it just that Towns can't figure it out? Like, do we overrate Towns? That's one thing I think we over, and that's a topic maybe for another day. But it's just a
Well, and
sad.
he went through a lot in the last year, man. I mean, he lost like 7 members of his family. Then he got COVID. Like his mom died of COVID. Like I mean, he really went through some hell. And the fact that he's even out there still is just a testament to the gamer. But coming out of college, we thought he was going to be one of the next big things. I mean, he's the big cat. I mean, he's the guy.
Yeah, no, exactly, and yeah, especially he has gone through a lot. But even in previous years, like just from a basketball standpoint, like he just really hasn't taken the leap that we thought he would at this
I
point.
honestly thought he would be what AD is right now.
Yeah, like the AD, like or even like got to a DeMarcus Cousins,
Hmm.
sort of level. Like, although Cousins might not have been the most respected, but like was still one of the top big men. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, even he hasn't even gotten to that level of what he. I mean, he's talented, but he just I don't know hasn't figured it out yet.
I think he's one of the most underachieved Kentucky basketball big men in a long time.
That and just in the league too. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
I,
usually though, if you come from UK and you're a big man, like generally they create superstars.
yeah, I mean he's still young enough to still be able to reach it. It just maybe it's not going to be in Minnesota. Maybe he needs to get traded and be in a different team with a different coach.
Yeah.
That could just be it too. But yeah, man, let's go.
So as far as you're concerned, you are giving Rookie of the Year, just so we're on the same page right now, to LaMelo. Joker MVP. Is Curry second for MVP or is Giannis?
No, it's Joel Embiid.
Oof, man.
It has to be just from the numbers. The team is the number one seed in the East. I mean, they achieved more than what anyone thought they were going to be. Joel Embiid, his numbers are incredible. I mean, if he would have played more games, I think that you give him the actual MVP award. If he would have
Yeah.
played at least 10 more games, but the injury really held him back from it. And
Yep.
Joker, of course. I mean, it would have been a toss up, between the two, but it's not a toss up. Joker is the MVP. Joel third or second. I have Chris Paul third. I know a lot of people have Curry up there. Or they think Curry's the MVP. I think Curry's like at that fourth or fifth spot. Him or Giannis could go back and forth. I just have.
I'll be curious because I think the writers love him. We'll see. I could see something weird.
I don't see it. I think the writers all I think it could be a unanimous decision of Joker. I don't say that lightly. I think it could be unanimous, or almost damn well
Yeah.
close to it.
I mean, do you think they get housed though in the playoffs? Because the problem is you have to put the entire team on his back right now, and I
Yeah.
just don't believe he can do that day in day out.
Are you talking about Joker?
Yeah, I don't think the Nuggets can make a deep run because again, like as great as he's been, like he can't be the only offense for that team. I mean, it's just losing Murray has to catch up at some point.
And yeah, well, let's start. Let's talk about it. So now we'll move into the West. We have Spurs playing Memphis. Ja. There we go. We have Ja. He could show up and maybe have a big game. I think Memphis does take that game against San Antonio, but Popovich is the coach on the other side, man, and Pop
Yeah.
knows he is like Belichick in certain ways and can surprise you. And then you have Golden State versus the Lakers. Does
Hmm.
Curry come? The only way I think they win is Curry comes out and score. He has to score 60. But in the Lakers, they have LeBron and the ADs in the score like 30. I mean, they have no one to guard AD. Just it, man. They don't have anybody to guard AD, and they don't have anyone to guard LeBron. They could try to, but I think the Lakers could throw some people at Curry, and they know how to stop him. I think Frank
Yeah, I
Vogel's a
mean,
good enough defensive coach that is gonna.
as much as I'd like to see GSW pull it off,
I,
I don't see a path to victory at all. Because even if Curry puts up 50, then GSW is putting up 94 points on the game, and the Lakers are putting up 132. You
yeah,
know what I mean? It could be that. It could be that crazy.
I just think the Lakers, although they haven't played all that much this season, I know they haven't. But like, if LeBron is 85% of himself, this Golden State team just can't handle that. And I think the Lakers defensively still can't shut them down. And I think Frank Vogel is and them are going to make a big difference on the defensive end. That's where I think they're really going to win in this game is the defense.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Curry probably not even get close to that. I know everyone's expecting him to probably go off. I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to actually be the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be two bodies on him on every possession. If they have any interest in actually, moving forward, it's just, why would you not double team? There's my why would you not? Why would you not double team Curry in a play-in game?
And
You
it's gonna
have to.
it's gonna happen, yeah. And like just have to live and die by leaving one of those other guys open, and if they drain some threes, which they are capable of doing,
Yeah.
you just have to see. And Curry, I mean, even if you have two guys on him, that guy could still get a shot, but. It's going to be a different, and I think when Curry plays against LeBron, I think there's something that he loves about it, and I think that the same goes for LeBron. LeBron's gonna, come in, and I think LeBron's gonna come in, score 40, and be like, hey guys, did you forget about me? I'm back, and kind of.
Do you think Curry scores more than 40?
I do, but also like I think in the last game of the season he took like 36 shots or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he scored. Yeah, he scored a lot, but it was like off of if he does that, like kind of stat line, the Lakers are going to win easily. Curry has to be so efficient for them to win this game.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I honestly don't see how they can, just because, again, I don't see how you contain AD. If AD is healthy, hopefully he doesn't have any of the back issues. I think AD is going to come out, and I think AD might have a bigger game than LeBron, honestly.
No, it easily could. I mean, but that's the thing also too, though, is like, so if LeBron, scores 30, AD could score 50 because they just have no one to guard AD.
Yeah. I mean, there's just no way.
There's no way. There's no way Draymond's going to be down there guarding AD. So it's just, and AD is returned to form too. Just to let everyone know. People are wondering, what's taking AD so long? He missed half the season, and it's just easy to say that this guy is like he's dribbling the ball up the court. He's doing everything that he was doing in the playoffs last year, and I think that he's also going to remind people of like, hey, you guys forgot about the Lakers, and I just think that the Lakers take that 7th seed. They're going to most likely so they play the Suns in that number 2 spot, and it's going to be the same thing, man. The Suns have no one to guard AD. They have no one to guard him. And if they do in that number 1 spot, it'd be a little bit more interesting because then they would play the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, I think Gobert can't handle AD, and they don't have anybody to throw at LeBron. Like really throw at LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a difficulty. It'll be, I still am curious to see. I think that's going to be one of the best games of the entire playoffs. Is going to be that playoff game or play-in game. Like I'm excited for it. I think a lot of people are excited for it.
Oh man, I can tell you right now, it's like that's all everyone's looking forward to. Like these games tonight, yeah, there's going to be some buzz, but everyone's looking to that Golden State game. It's like a championship game, man. It is. You have LeBron and you have Curry.
I'll check highlights on the games tonight, but I'm not going to invest any time watching them. But I will probably watch the entire Lakers game.
I'm going to definitely watch the entire Laker game. I am curious to see, though, the Celtics and Wizards game.
Yeah.
From just a Westbrook. I love watching Westbrook. He's so intense
Hmm.
to watch, and I mean, he could cost them the game too. So that's
A
what's funny.
100%.
That's what's funny. I mean, although he has been playing very well, man, like, but he could easily cost them the game, and I guess I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But yeah, man, I mean, it's going to be interesting, and I know like no, next week when we're here, we're going to see a few of these games already unravel and be different. But because they don't have the other game one starting until Thursday, Friday, so
Yep.
that's where you'll see I think more of the teams that are already playing each other, the 3-6, the 4-5, those games will be taking place. I mean, what a luxury, man! If you're number one or two, not just luxury. I mean, they played hard for sure. Like the Suns and the Jazz played really hard to get those seeds, and the same thing with
Hmm.
the Sixers and the oh God, I'm drawing a blank. Who won the second seed? It wasn't the Bucks. The Brooklyn. Um, with those two, they played hard, and it's rewarding because now they're going to be fresh. 4 to 5
Oh, yeah.
5 days off.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how many it is, but 4 to 5 days off before they play a team that is only on 2 days rest or one day, and they have to travel to them. I mean, but I like to play a tournament. I think the way it's going to play out, it's going to be really fun. I know a lot of people aren't too high on it, but I think this is going to be a fun series.
Do you think it's something they'll do next year as well?
A lot of players are complaining about it, and I think the league is like, no way. Like this is because not only does the league benefit from this, the players benefit from it too. I mean, if you're a 9-10 seed, like, and if something happened, like, I mean, imagine if LeBron missed more games and the Lakers fell into the ninth seed. We are glad that this kind of thing is in play because LeBron, and then imagine LeBron comes back and like he's in that 9 or 10 seed. Like, we are happy that this is in play. Like, there's that sort of hypothetical, right? And
Yeah.
then there's the other hypothetical that the league and the players, they split this 50-50. It's this kind of game. This is what they hope for, is a game like this for the playing the Lakers and Golden State. So when the viewership is at an all time high because this game is going to be at that kind of moment, the league is going to be happy and the players are going to be happy because they're splitting the revenue. Like, I know that obviously there's a lot of big name players complaining about the play-in tournament. It's like they played 10 less games. I know that they had a shortened off season, but also like the players didn't have to rush back. They chose to rush back because they wanted to get paid in full salaries, and it's like you can't have it both ways. Like
Yeah.
the league is
It's also just a bad look if you don't want to play.
right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but the fans, they want to see you guys play. Like, I would be so upset paying a lot of money if like I took my nephew to a game and they didn't. If LeBron does not start in the game because he just is resting, like that's upsetting.
Speaking of which, did you watch the Hall of Fame induction speech from Vanessa Bryant?
I did.
So you saw the whole like Kobe wouldn't take a game off even when he was injured because like if somebody had saved up their money to come see him, they wanted him to be able to see him.
Because Kobe did that. Yeah. I
But
mean,
no, but I mean like it's so the opposite mentality of what we're even talking about right now. It's like guys are complaining that they have to play one more game to have a better shot at a postseason berth,
man,
and it's
and
like
and Reggie Miller was on the Dan Patrick show last week, and I think if I'm not getting this mixed up, but like Reggie talks about, it's like how the players before them paved the way to nowadays. It's like it's so true, and like I understand the schedule and the back to backs and stuff like that. It has to be hard, but I mean, like the way that these players are paid nowadays, as opposed to being paid what they were paid before. I mean, you're talking about nickels and dimes compared to dollars and hundreds. It's like that, like Bill Russell and like Charles Barkley and like all those players from like those generations were not paid as much as these players are being paid now. It's like even your average player is making more money than almost what they were making back then. And a part of that is like
Well,
they just paved the way for this to be possible. It's like I just think there's too much, complaining about the season being too long. Maybe they could cut the games. Maybe like a 7-2, maybe a 7-2 game schedule does work. That's fine. I'm okay with that. You give
but imagine the accommodations too versus what like Bill Russell traveling as a team
on a
in
bus.
the '60s was a bus ride.
Yeah.
To go stay at a hotel that was probably nothing like what the hotels they can stay in now.
Well,
Like,
especially with like what like racial issues and stuff that he had to go through during his time.
yeah,
That's just a big like I mean it's a big change, from then and to now. Like especially with like being a player like Bill Russell or any of those players that back then. It's just a big change.
man, there's a lot of stories about Mantle when they would be in certain towns. If there were players that weren't allowed to go into restaurants because of racial scenarios, he would go and take his meal and sit on the bus and eat with the African American players. He was like, "I'm not going to let you guys just sit out here." Like he would go and just be with them, and that's pretty stand up, and especially as big of a superstar as that guy was too.
Well, yeah, I mean you see it like and we're very like grateful because we have to be in how short of a time it's come from that. I mean, think about it. 50, 60 years ago? That's not a
Yeah,
long time. And
it's
like,
literally our grandparents when they were in high school.
yes, exactly. And like,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
so
glad,
weird.
I'm so glad like as a country that, although like, yes, it was shitty and it sucked and, that we were able to advance and be able to still go through it. I know it's like there's certain stuff that goes on now and I know we're going a little off topic, but like we're still able to, we still have a lot of work to do in certain areas, but like it's been, just the thing about like watching the movie 42 and, it being Jackie Robinson Day like last month and all that. It's like, it's still a great, like an achievement. It's like you just like are able to celebrate Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente and all those players that like, took stands and stuff like that, stood up for what wasn't right and what is now considered like, those guys are icons. Oh,
Yeah, I mean it's still strange to me. Obviously, you and I weren't there.
yeah.
That even was the world. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just like I can't even like no one ever just was like, "Hey, guys, wait a minute. This doesn't make sense at all." Like, where was the like? There was almost no voice of reason. Like, what? I
I,
see the images of those times. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, how's that
yeah.
even real life?
And,
Like that, it seems like a movie.
and if you think about it too, like what you grew up in the 80s and 90s, like,
Uh huh.
it's like I grew up like late 90s, 2000s, like, I mean, even then, like you think about it, like 30 years prior, like the world was so much different. And then,
Yeah.
like when I grew up, like we never thought about it as kids. Like I grew up and I was like the only white kid in school. I was literally the only white kid in school. Like I went to a school with, there were more predominantly Hispanic and African American. And like, so like, yeah, that was a big thing for me. I never cared. I was like, oh, cool. You guys want to play basketball? Let's play basketball. And that's all we did for in the morning before school and after school. It doesn't matter. And all,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, man, like, you know, I think like going back to what we were talking about before with how the league is going through these changes and players complaining about the play-in tournament and stuff like that. I think that it's more fun. I think it's just it's definitely this is more exciting than watching go right into the 1 through 8. Yeah, these two games. It's a great advantage for a team that played their ass off the number 1 and 2 seed all year. They, it's a great reward for them to play two teams, that yeah they might be at a disadvantage, but that's their fault. I mean,
Yeah.
if they're less talented, I mean, that's just how it is.
There also has to be a level of give the fans what they want because at the end of the day, you need the fans, right? I mean, we're going through a year where there wasn't even
Sports.
live sports to go watch, and it's like you're telling me I don't know. It just feels to me like
Yeah, they take the fans for granted sometimes. I really like and I mean, if players are what are listening or whatnot, and I know most players don't take the fans for granted, but like I know players always they say you got to understand our point of view, but you got to understand the fans' point of view. Is like you lose the fans, you lose your pay. Like that's just
Hmm.
the thing. It's like there has to be a middle ground to it, and I don't think fans are too you know unrealistic with with what they're hoping.
When I was in the sports card hobby more than as a business when the baseball strike took place, and I can tell you that it took a good 10 plus years for baseball to come back. And there's still people who, the average working man, again, you got to remember I live in the Midwest. So we're talking a lot of iron workers. We're talking a lot of
Yeah,
steel guys, industry guys, roughneck, like they make their money with their hands. They get dirty, those kind of guys. There's still guys who are never coming back to baseball cards because the strike, when these guys were making, obviously the money they made even in the 90s, they lost a lot of fans, man. And it's just like you got to walk that fine line of like, okay, we get it, it's your job. You should be able to go to arbitrage and say what you want and don't want and negotiate to a degree. But when you're LeBron and you're a billionaire, we don't need to hear you complain about working one extra couple games. Like just go to work, man.
yeah.
Especially if you've been coming off of a year of injuries, man. Just go to work. You know,
I
that's
mean,
I don't know. That's a legacy killer to me.
yeah, and I think you see it with players that complain like that. That kind of goes back to destroying their legacy. Oh, he was a big complainer, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I agree. And baseball's facing the same thing coming into
Mhm.
this offseason with their CBA. It's like this. It's like there's certain things, and I think on this CBA, I'm actually with the players on this because I think baseball really needs to fix itself with certain things. I'll say it just nicely because whether it's with the commissioner, who I'm not a fan of, and with other things, like baseball really needs to fix itself with Rob Manfred, with the whole Astro situation. The just yeah, there's so much to go in there with how the players should be paid differently, and I think service time needs to be changed. I think all this stuff really needs to just really be changed. Like, I'm sorry, we shouldn't wait for a year for star players to be called up. Like if Jared Kalinick, who's been ready for almost a year and a half, on Seattle,
And looks great, by the way.
yeah, think I think Brody Van Wagenen, former Mets GM, that I'm glad he was fired. He traded him away for Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz. That does not look good. That's going to be one of the worst trades to go down. But
Yeah, Kalanick's a star. But again, this service time game it's a scam. Like it's all it is. It's a scam. It's a way to screw the players, to pad the money of the owners, and lock guys into these terrible deals, which again are still, for your common man, amazing deals, right? Like Kalanick's probably still going to wake up in a Lambo next year, like next year if he wants it, but it's a terrible deal. In the same breath, though, if you threaten to strike again, you risk losing baseball forever. If they go through another strike in the next 5 years, baseball will be done in this country. I believe that.
well, and it was the same thing with the last offseason with trying to get a schedule going. They literally sat on their thumbs, the owners and
Hmm.
they literally sat on their thumbs for a whole month before deciding the six. Even some owners didn't even want to have a baseball season. Did you? I mean, I don't know if people
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that, but if they would
yeah.
have not had that, I would have been. I would
They've
have.
been brutal,
Yeah.
so brutal. Well, but I mean, honestly, and this is on topic, but a little shift. That's kind of the way the whole world is right now. And like the government sometimes goes on strike.
Yeah.
Like Congress just says, "We're not going to do anything. We're leaving, boys. Shut down the government. Nobody gets a paycheck if you're a federal employee." Like, what are we doing here? Who are we, children? Like, you're telling me that you guys can just walk out and it's okay? Like, how do y'all still have jobs? If
Well,
I walk out of my job, I'd get fired.
and that's a good thing to kind of say about the owners is like the owners, they don't, they're like, oh, we're already losing this much profit on it anyway. It's like, we don't want to have a season. I think because they didn't want to pay the players because they were already losing so much revenue per game. But the thing is, like, they don't care about the sport. And if you're losing that much money, sell the team. I'm sorry, sell the team.
Well,
Get
in all
someone in there.
sincerity, I saw a meme the other day that's very poignant to this, and it was literally like somebody underwater, and like they were shrieking because the market had gone down 20%.
Yeah,
But underneath the water, it showed that they were up 800% on the year.
right.
So it's like, okay, you're an owner of a Major League Baseball team, which is an exclusive club, right? We're talking about 30
Clubs.
groups or people that own teams. You're likely a billionaire plus, and you've made tons of money being an owner of a baseball team that you likely even got grandfathered in because your family owned the damn thing.
Yeah.
And you have 1 year where you only make 500 million. Like, come on, man.
In the, like, for instance, like the Cleveland Indians, they, for instance, had their payroll now is like under 40 million or 41 million.
Uh-huh.
It went from like 80 or 90 after trading Lindor and Carrasco and a few other players to now it's like where it's like at 40 million. And how are you serious? Like, they're like a mid-level. They're not a small market. They're like a mid-level market. How's your payroll only 40 million? These are the things that baseball needs to figure out. It's like,
and I'm guessing a hot dog and beer still is $10 for the pair.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's really sad that like some of these teams. I understand maybe not all teams that can compare to teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees, but there still has to be a fine line when it comes to this.
I don't believe there's a Major League Baseball owner that's not doing very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Like they're doing really well.
And baseball, you know, they need there are certain things that they need to do to fix themselves. Like,
I do like the doubleheader thing with like, the innings ending at 7 and for a doubleheader. I mean, there's some stuff there that makes sense to me.
I'm all
and
about
that's
that.
Player based, right? That's player based for sure.
Yep, all about that. They need another thing I think they need to do is keep the universal DH.
Yeah, that needs to come in. I mean, that would have really helped Pujols in this most recent scenario, I think.
Yeah,
it would have opened him up to some other markets.
Most definitely, and I mean, I think would also just helped him in the situation with the Dodgers. Although the Dodgers are, they had him last night, first at bat, got an RBI. I mean, loved it, and that's in a bump. I think it's his hobby value playing. Like, honestly, there's only one other team that he could have went to where his hobby is going to be so relevant, and that's the Yankees.
Yeah.
But him being on the Dodgers is just as good, and is going to bump his rookie cards because he's going to be in the playoffs.
Imagine if he somehow ends this season hitting 300. Like, if he just turns it all around, puts up like 34 homers, like, man, it could be so cool.
Well, if he hits 34 homers, that'll put him over the 700 home run mark. He's 33 homers away from 700. But I still think it's too much. He's not going to hit 33 home runs, especially.
Yeah, I mean, but it sounds cool.
It does sound cool, yeah. But,
here's the thing: if he hits 16 or 17, and he bats 250 or above, we're going to see him again next year, right? I mean, the Dodgers aren't cutting him; like, he's going to be around.
Yeah, no, I think he's one of the Dodgers' only right-handed bats too.
Yep.
The Dodgers only, I think, have, especially with their injuries to Bellinger and Corey Seager, he's a prominent player actually on their team. A team that's been more than struggling too. They started off really hot and they've been so inconsistent. So having Pujols yesterday and them winning a 3-1 game, I think they won, and him having one of the only RBIs is a strong.
Well, think about this too. Like, and again, this is kind of a fanboy thing, but a lot of the younger players on the Dodgers grew up watching Pujols and probably were fans of him. So now he comes in and can even almost be somewhat of a leadership role.
Oh yeah, and I did something. I did like a little project on him for school yesterday. So yeah, him not only doing that, 2-time World Series champ. I mean, 10 straight years of 30+ homers, hitting over 300. I mean, he's the guy of the generation, and I mean, these players have to look up to him.
Yeah, and some of them honestly probably really did have like a Pujols poster in their room. You know what I mean? Like, it's not unrealistic.
Everyone remembers his ESPN commercial about him being the machine in like 2007 or
oh yeah,
like.
Oh yeah.
I mean, someone like Corey Seager, who's younger than I am, was still in high school at the time, or still in, when
Yeah.
or even elementary school. But yeah, it's good to see Pujols doing that still at age 41. And I think we will see him next year on a club. Like
Hmm.
I think you might see him more DH next year, just to focus on hitting that 700 homer mark. But
Yeah, I hope he does. I really hope he does. I mean, he's a guy that's had a lot of injuries. I hope
and,
he can get there.
and I still go back. I don't hold the Angels, for not starting him. Sorry, but like Shohei, you have Shohei there, who needs the DH spot more than Pujols.
For
Just how it
sure.
is.
Production wise, you're getting more production. I mean,
I'm,
you're going to go with your best chance to win.
Shohei hit another bomb yesterday.
Yeah, he's
I
so
mean,
good.
what
He's so
the
good.
guy's insane. I did not think he was going to bounce back to be this kind of player. Man,
Yeah. But see, this is again what we talk about all the time as far as when should you have bought him? Not now, not
no
now,
way. People are buying him now.
but legit a year ago. If you would have taken a big gamble on him and taken a big shot at him, you would be in great spot right now.
Yeah, he's batting right now. He's batting 263, 13 homers, 32 RBIs. That's not bad. He's on approach 100 ribbies at this pace.
But again, playing both sides of the ball essentially.
Yeah.
It's just and the home runs he hits are so long. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like we haven't seen anything like this.
Yeah, no, and the way he's crushing it, he's only 26 years old, and his ERA right now is 2.1. Not bad
Yeah,
in five starts.
like how could he win the Cy Young and the Triple Crown in the same year? Could you imagine? Probably not, but it'd be amazing.
Yeah. Nah, he
Or batting,
definitely
get a batting title and a Cy Young. Could you imagine?
he would have to start. He would have to start like almost every 5 days, which right now he's not at that point, but
Yeah,
he'd have
it'd
to.
be really cool though. It'd be an insane story.
No, it would be, man. I'm all for the Shohei trade. I think it's really fun. It's great to watch. He's in LA. He's on a team that if they could make the playoffs, it'd be a good run. But yeah,
Well, and I think there's also a value too, and I mean, again, obviously, like social things that are happening in our country are relevant to the card market. It's unfortunate, but it's reality. And there's a lot of Asian issues going on as far as Asian hate in this country that at least the media is perpetrating. I don't know if that's as relevant as they're saying it is, but either way, it is happening on some level. And here's one of the best players in all of sports right now is an Asian in Shohei.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's great. Like he's dominating in America's sport, but
No,
I think that's probably cool.
I love it. It's like when Ichiro came on the scene, man.
Yeah,
I mean, Ichiro. I mean, I think with Shohei has a little bit more flash just because of the market. He's playing in LA as opposed to Ichiro is playing in Seattle. But I mean, it's like night and day between these two players. Ichiro. I mean, I think, and I say this confidently. I think he's the greatest hitter we've ever seen over Pete Rose. I think he is. It just with what he did in Japan and what he consistently did. He literally didn't miss a beat coming to America and doing it for 10 straight years.
yeah.
I mean, the guy has the most hits ever if you're counting Japan in the United States. And he came here at 30, dude, and did it. It's just unbelievable, man.
One, what's crazy is if you put both of them next to each other, like at their prime, like Shohei now and then Ichiro at his prime, let's say just like 2005, their body types are so different. Like Shohei is literally a monster, and then Ichiro is just this tiny guy that you could wrap your hands around. Like you literally could put him in your hands and carry him around like such a tiny cat, but he had so much power.
I got this Ichiro card in this top set. It's like a medallion, like a Japanese medallion card. I mean, I've never really seen one of these cards, but I thought it was really cool. And I was like, I'm definitely keeping this cool card.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of cards, do you have a card on your desk?
I do, man. I have. Let me pull it. It's actually speaking of Kobe earlier, and it's his 96-97 showcase. Or actually,
Oh, nice, man.
yeah, their showcase card.
Yeah,
It's
it's
one
a
of
really good card.
Yeah, I like it a lot, man. It's in really good condition, and I bought a lot off this guy, and this card was in one of them.
So I have on my desk the second place of the play-in tournament on Wednesday. Curry's going to make it rain for 60. and LeBron is going to twist his ankle,
Oh, come
and
on,
that's just
man.
going to be that. Hey, look, I need the Suns to win. I need the Suns to win. So you've got to understand. I've got to go for my guy. Curry's putting up 72 points, and it's over. The Lakers are done.
Oh wow, man, you have come a long way. I'm looking at the basketball standpoint of this, not the betting standpoint of this.
I'm just
I'm
telling you
sorry,
now.
man.
The Suns are going to hold.
The
Again, 2 months ago when I was yelling Suns, you would have laughed at me if I told you they were a number one seed.
they aren't a number one seed; they're number two seed. But
Wow.
but
Wow.
the overall, man, I just think that I think with everything, man, the league is just much more fun when LeBron's in the playoffs. I'm sorry, it is. And
Yeah, the hobby's better too.
when LeBron's gone, it's going to be it's going to suck, man. Like we only have like 2 or 3 years. I think we take LeBron for granted so much. I still think I think he's the greatest player ever. And we take him for granted so much. People are like, oh man, it's like seeing him every year. Like, oh, we see the Patriots every year in the playoffs. I'm sorry, when LeBron and Brady are gone, it's gonna be like, whoa.
Well, it's gonna be like when MJ left, which you were pretty young for that.
Yeah.
But when MJ left, it was like taking the air out of the balloon because there wasn't like a transition to the new king. Essentially, like LeBron it became that, 03, 04, and then moved on. But there was a pretty big lull where it was like the league wasn't ran by somebody, and when LeBron leaves, I don't know who's stepping up to take that role because, I mean, even if you talk about like Curry is the culture in a lot of ways, and so is like LaMelo, they're so young.
It's a tough one because you had this window and it was a strange years at the time. Like, well, when I started watching basketball, it was '99, the Lakers' first championship with Kobe and Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Pacers and then you had Kobe, it was Iverson, you had like these. Right now, yeah, there's a lot of talented players, but I'm sorry, like there's no Kobe. Giannis is maybe that guy, but not really. Kobe was there. Then LeBron comes in, this kid who could have been drafted at like eighth grade or ninth grade. People were talking about, and just like who still came in the league at 17 years old and dominated the league right away. Took a team to the finals 4 years in. He was 21 years old. Literally destroyed the Detroit Pistons in that round. Literally just put the Cavs on his back, and then got swept by the Spurs. But man, like it's just gonna be weird when LeBron's gone. And
It's just so weird because the 90s and 2000s stars, like you were just referencing, to me, all feel larger than life guys.
Yeah.
Your Kobe's, your Shaqs, even KG. I mean,
Duncan.
Garnett, Iverson, Duncan to a degree. I mean, yeah, he was absolutely larger than life too. Dirk,
yeah.
But it's like the only guy I can look at now that I feel the same way about that's going to be still around after LeBron is Luka.
Yes, I agree. And
Like
Luka,
that's it.
I think we look at Luka and Zion as these guys to hopefully take the reign.
Yeah.
And I think they will. I think Luka, I mean, his style of play, man, how smart this guy is, how young I think this guy is really going to be the player. Like, he's like a cross of, like, I know they compare him to Bird. Like, I think he's like a Dirk kind of play style. And just how smart he is, like a Manu Ginobili kind of, like, just basketball IQ. I mean, like another underrated player from our generation, Manu, right?
Yeah, you never hear about that guy.
I had Lee Ellis on the podcast. He's one of the hosts of the No Dunks podcast, and he explained how like Manu was like one of his favorite players, just of the last 20 years, man. And it's so true, man. Manu was one of those guys. Here's the thing, man. It's like I did my top 10. I saw this on the Sports Card Nonsense page the other day. As like one of the guys asked, who's your top 10? I was looking at some of the people's top 10. I put mine. I was some people weren't having Duncan in the top 10. And I'm like, how don't you have Duncan? Duncan's like the fifth best player of all time. And I say that very confidently. Duncan, it's like, in my opinion, it's LeBron, Jordan, Kareem, Shaq, Duncan. I don't have
You know
Bill
what's
Russell. I don't have Bill Russell in there. I mean, I'm sorry, he is, but I just think competition level is just different.
it's really weird though too because like isn't it interesting that Duncan doesn't really have hobby respect either?
He doesn't. I just bought his PSA 9 Topps Chrome
Uh-huh.
for like $300. I
Yeah.
mean, come on. Kobe's top
And
Chrome PSA
go look
9.
what a Kobe. Yeah, go look at a Kobe 9 is.
It's like $10,000. But that's why
Yeah,
I think, I think one day there will be a Duncan documentary, and I'm like, cool, I'm going to load up on Duncans. I just am. Like, this guy is like, with Kareem. Like, Kareem stuff is undervalued too, right?
yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure. Big men are boring though, man. In the
it's
hobby,
true.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Which is weird that 1920 was so driven by a big man. Like
But
Zion drove 1920, but historically, big men don't hold value. Name three that are worth big money. There's
Shaq.
not.
Shaq.
But again, I'm saying
But
big money. You could buy Shaq rookies pre this burst and or pre this
Allen,
run up. You could
$100.
buy $1, $2, $3 for raw. We
Yeah,
were buying them. I was buying ultras for $3.
right. And I think with like a documentary and Shaq being relevant in the media, and of course, like that's why Barkley's gotten so much love too.
Yeah.
And his golf swing and stuff that adds to his hobby value. People laughing at that kind of stuff. They just are fans of Barkley. I love Barkley. I think he's awesome, man. I really
To
love
me, Barkley's he's a WWE character. You know what I mean? Like he's basically he's a WWF heel that he's the bad guy. He's the guy up there who's willing to say just you don't know what he's going to say. You know, he could absolutely just be like, if LeBron does terrible in this coming playing game, he could be like, LeBron's trash. Like he could say it. Like he's that guy.
yeah, 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 man. I mean, I just and yeah, he gets his backlash, whatever. But like, I think Barkley, the way he sees the game and talks about it, I just he's just one of those rare breeds. By the way,
Yeah,
did you see that Marv Albert is retiring after the conference finals?
I did.
That sucks.
Yeah,
What
it makes me feel old.
I mean, let's just talk about it, man. Great career. 79 years old. He's been doing
Yeah,
it for I mean since the late 70s, I think it was, or
yeah.
maybe even before that. I think I read it wrong. But
And survived some scandals. Like I mean, his career was in jeopardy for a bit. Like I mean, he's been through
I,
it.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, look it up.
What
Not right now, but
what was the scandals about?
just like some sexual stuff that was not good.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to look that up. He was literally the voice of the league for.
Yeah,
I mean, and it is like it's like he's like Vince Scully, man, just going out. It's really
see, I
crazy.
kind of feel like he's to a degree, obviously less animated, but the Dick Vitale of NBA. He's
Yeah,
just he's synonymous with being in the NBA. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's like Al Michaels calling a game. I mean, man, like you look for Dick Vitale, you look for Marv Alberts, man. It's like calling it.
Yeah.
You want to hear him. You just want to hear him shout it, man. When he's like, because when it comes down to it at the end of the games, man. I mean, it's like those kind of commentators. Their voices, how they describe a game and everything like that. It intensifies it, man.
Hmm.
And that's what you look for with those kind of guys. But yeah, man, what a
Well, I
fantastic.
even liked. I mean, I loved when Madden was on Monday Night Football. You know, I loved Madden. I thought, he was hilarious. That guy was great. He made football more fun. But all these guys are getting old and they're retiring or they're dying off, and it's like, you know, that's going to be a completely different medium coming into the near future. It's going to be different. The diversification's getting, pretty strong in all sports. So the next big NBA commentator may be a female. We don't know.
It could be. Well, it's like even like with who's taking over Tirico?
Hmm.
I love Tirico, and I think he's been a great substitution for was it um, God, I'm totally butchering it, but anyways, Mike Tirico, man, he's been awesome. A great addition to football, and probably,
Yep, I like him.
and his voice is going to be the next for the next 30 years of just what we love to see. What is your why would you not for the weekend? Let's get into our lifestyle talk.
For sure, it's why would you not double team Curry in the play-in tournament because otherwise it's unhealthy. Also, I'm going to give you my real why would you not is I'm a big nap guy. I like naps.
Okay.
There's some good statistics out there that you should take naps that are less than 25 minutes so you don't get into different waves of sleep.
Right.
So, like, I had a late evening last night. I came home, I took a very short nap, and I'm probably good to go for the day now. Um, but yeah, I'm a big nap guy. I think if you can do a 25-minute, black out the curtains if you can, put on some kind of binaural beats. I'm a big fan of the beats that you can listen to on YouTube to fall asleep to.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's where I'm at.
I took a nap yesterday, and I paid for it a lot. I drank coffee right after that, and that was a terrible mistake. It really messed with my sleep. So here's my why would you not? Why would you not drink coffee? Don't drink coffee before you go to sleep, guys. Or late in the day. Just stay away from coffee late in the day. If it's after 4 p.m., drink some decaf or drink some tea. Some non-decaf tea though. Because man, I was literally like high strung. I was tossing and turning. I didn't go to sleep till like midnight, and man, my mornings are early. 4:30 up, out the door, training or I'm training myself. But
So you're doing your cold showers usually post workouts, right?
I do them early. I do them before. Like it just depends on how my days go, man. Like this morning, I haven't trained yet. I haven't been able to work out just because I was training so early. But I did take the dog for a walk. But I
Okay.
got my workout plan for this afternoon. Come home, cold shower, or sometimes I just take a cold shower in the morning just before.
Hmm.
Just if I have an hour, I'll wake up. But yeah, I do it either way. As
Right
I
on.
and
Yeah, I
as
mean coffee's interesting. I mean, some people thrive on it, some people
I
don't do well with it. I
I
personally don't dabble in it.
I love it, man. I mean, it's better than energy drinks, and it has a lot. It has a lot of benefits, in my opinion. And Ken, you know about that, man. It's like there's just certain things, but definitely don't drink after a certain time, especially when you don't
Yeah.
need it.
Also, don't play basketball against 20-year-olds and then drink 4 Red Bulls back to back to back to back and almost die. Um, yeah, but you
that's
know what?
that's your why
He's
would you
six.
not?
He's 6'4", 6'4" and 29, and I still won. So my
But
5'4.5" or whatever I am posted him up, and I put that big body on him. He couldn't get to the hoop. So
you AI you got around him somehow.
oh, absolutely. Actually, it's just my shooting game's pretty strong. I mean, it's my goal, my backyard. You know
Uh,
what I mean? It's yeah, like I'm on a home court advantage, but I can make it rain out here.
got it. Yeah, and that's what man Curry's giving a lot of people hope, man, even including yourself. You're like making it rain, taking some Steph Curry threes back there.
See, that's what's the one thing that kind of sucks about Curry being so great and potentially even going to go on a run this year again. I want to buy some Curry stuff, man, but like
It's so
I don't
expensive.
want to pay the Curry price. Like, and again, it's just like I tell everybody else. The time to buy Curry was years ago or during injuries when they
Yeah,
dip. Right now is not when you buy Curry. And if he somehow pulls this off Wednesday, you don't buy Curry for a while. Like, it's going to be ridiculous.
his stuff is so expensive, man. I
But it also should be, right? Like, in all
yeah
sincerity,
yeah no, it's true.
like, number one shooter of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
his
I
stuff
agree,
should be
man.
expensive.
His stuff is expensive. He's one of the 20 greatest players of all time.
And he's in that era where there's just not a lot of it out there. Like if I again told you today, your job for the day is to go find 2 Curry rookies raw.
No way.
Nah, it's not even a thing. Like
That stuff's
it,
graded or it's PC'd.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go to find it in the shop, you're paying full eBay plus. It's just if the shops even have any.
Yeah, man. It's true, man. Give us a few players that you would go out and collect right now that the market's sorted down.
Um, I'll give you a football.
Okay.
I still really think Peyton Manning stuff's underpriced.
Yeah, yeah. It's good.
I think there's some opportunity for growth there.
You could pick up some of these
Um,
autos for like
yeah,
between that $400 to $600 range. Oh man,
yeah.
some good stuff there.
Baseball, I really I honestly still think in baseball vintage that Mantl's underpriced, which is a big thing to say considering how expensive they are. The rarity of them is so hard to find, man. Like I think Mantl's underpriced.
It's a little hard to find Mantles just raw anymore. Like people selling them, like because
Yep.
as soon as someone posts it, it's gone. And you have like
Oh, for sure.
they're like crows on a carcass. Just
I am curious about if Vlad Jr.
Hmm.
can potentially a year or two from now be a monster.
I like it now. I would go out and get some of his rookies. I
But now is when the time to get him, right? Right? Like it's not 2 years from now when if
No.
he ends up being a crusher.
his stuff is popped already. Like I mean,
Yeah.
it's up there. I mean, it's not up there like full, but like it's up there right now. But certainly,
It's definitely not where it was rookie year though. Him and Tatis have 100% switched spots.
yes. Oh yeah.
Tatis stuff was really low rookie year, and obviously that's completely changed. So I kind of like him. And then in basketball, it's tough because the guys I like are all kind of guys that are getting play now. But I think Cameron Johnson, if he has a big playoff season, could legitimately show out as a pretty top tier star. I mean, he's probably the star of that team now, other than CP3.
No, don't forget Booker.
Yeah, I mean, but
But
I like Booker. I mean, he's in that 15-16 class.
his stuff is
I think
so
he's a
expensive.
guy. But that's the thing, it's too late. You know what I mean? It's why I don't have any with me, but they're on the shelves. That's why the 15-16 blasters bring over $100.
Yeah.
Because Booker stuff's so darn expensive. Plus, you got Joker in there too. But still, Booker's already too high. I think Cameron Johnson stuff could get weird.
What the new out of the new Prism, the LeBron when he's dunking. Where are you at on that card being a long term like PC play? Like, do you think that's a really sought after card?
Are you talking the base, the silver, or the other 800 versions now that have come out because of the different products?
I guess, yeah, because now you have the cracked ice, you have the green, you have like where you at on the green
fast.
Prism, the purple.
I think all the colors are trash unless they're numbered. I think all the retail versions are kind of trash.
So don't go out and get those. I just it's such a cool card, but
Here, hold on 1 second.
for what people are selling them for, it's just those cards what they're selling for. Some people are selling for as high as 500-600 just raw. Ken's over here. He's getting a card.
Okay.
All right, he's back.
So, interesting. So hold on. Widescreen, let me try to get rid of
Got
this.
widescreen LeBron.
LeBron, this is the fast break version, also known as the disco version.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I think this is it's so hard to get this without it having glare.
Right there. There you go.
Okay, so I think this is a really nice one, but this thing
That thing's sick.
is the pink fast break disco numbered out of 50, and this one brings numbered out of 50 over $2,000.
Nice. You can just send that
You can
one
buy
to me.
Yeah, you can buy this card for like $20,
That's a cool looking card.
and it's awesome. So here's the question to go back to what you asked. Do I think it's going to be on the par of the chalk toss, the Kobe being guarded by LeBron card? No, because these are being more produced. That said, I think the silver, not any kind of color, not any kind of weird variation, just the silver version, sells for about $300 right now. I honestly believe once PSA opens up that that's a good buy. I think gems of that card are going to be because the silver is what the benchmark is for everything. If we were to talk about Luka prices right now on Prism, we're either looking up his base or his silver. You're not looking up his blue. You're not looking up his green, his purple, his red. If we're talking about a card, we always talk about their silver as kind of their true rookie.
Okay.
So I think that's ingrained in collectors that the silver. I mean, here's the thing: I would rather pull the silver of this card than the disco ball variation, blah blah blah, whatever color version. I would much rather just have the silver.
But you're talking about you much rather have the numbered card though too, right? Over that.
Well, yeah, but it's just so much more money.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the numbered out of 5 LeBron dunk sold for $75,000.
Wow. Okay. No, yeah, it makes sense.
But if I had to choose between owning the base of that card at $60, let's say, or the silver at 300, I think the silver at 300 is a good buy. I think the base at 60 is way, way, way overpriced.
Okay. Well, there you go, guys. You got some card advice from Ken. Go out and get numbered cards instead of buying all these base cards and trying to flip them instead.
Yeah, it's going to be tough until PSA reopens for bulk. I don't know what the guys sitting on tons of base do.
What do you have any recommendations? Do you think people should go out there and do some SGC stuff if they have more modern, or just wait?
The problem lies in I can't speak intelligently about just wait because we don't know what the wait time is. The idea that PSA is going to catch up and suddenly say, hey guys, send us 10 million cards for the cheap, it's not real.
You have stuff at PSA right now that you sent recently back as early as
1,600 cards.
As March, right?
You mean like as recent as this March or as late as last March?
As recent as March. Where are those cards at in the process right now, if you don't mind me asking?
Nowhere.
Got it.
Not even checked in. Like I have stuff from September of last year that's not in step 1.
Got it. Okay. Wow. So that
still
gives you
8 months behind.
You haven't been able we haven't been able to submit anything there unless it's express.
Right.
And they've been closed now for 2 months almost. Yep.
But the question becomes is, do we honestly believe that once they're caught up, that they're just going to let the flood come back in? I don't think that makes sense.
They're going to have to do something to where it's like, these valued cards are going to get graded first. And if you have base cards that you're sending in bulk, if you don't mind waiting a year, well, you'll get them back in a year.
Well, and here's the thing. It's how do you curtail demand for any product? I mean, it's economics 101, price. So if they come back like, we're back, boys, but it's $79 a card for 3 months service, or you can pay $29 a card, but it's 1 year service, maybe that works. But to just be like, the old days, it's not going to be like that anymore, man. You're not going to be able to just send them 4,000 LeBron base cards,
right?
And make money.
And the thing is, yeah, exactly. It's like, is it going to be expensive? Is it going to be worth it if you're trying to resell and do all that stuff? But yeah. All right, kid. My dog's telling me he needs to go to the bathroom. Is there anything else that we need to talk about before we go?
I think we got it covered, man.
All right, brother. We'll talk next week, man. I'll look forward to seeing you.
All right, man. Go Warriors.